He is on pole. Russell's control.
But we're focused on 20 that has been won from pole on Formula One career. 56 laps this weekend on a newly reset compounds, of which we do the hard tyre, which has moved a bit clone for all the drivers when they get locking in from pit lane after suspension changes to Q1 for the second race running at Carlos Sainz, 8th appearance here. It's the 14th, and it's at Alonso 3rd, and he qualified in Australia. But Kimi Antonelli starts 8th, Ferrari boys, Charles Leclerc in 6th, and one from here, that's 4th. Lando Norris started higher than 8th here, is on the front on pole. He has a clear track.
In clear air, and the great unknown, smooth, grippy Formula One car to go 3 seconds of heat and energy. So it goes fast as you can because there's a good undercut.
Behrman and Liam Lawson run it so far this weekend. 4 drivers, Nico Hulkenberg, when it came to their practice starts in the Padgett didn't do it yesterday, but they have updated the stewards.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they made it. It was in blue, the only change. Yeah. Any time. It has to be
one-stop strategy, including Lando. Are we looking at a one-stopper today?
Yeah, certainly changing quickly. It's 3 p.m. I think they'll have to wait and see. And as you rightly put, of Lance Stroll, Ollie only got 2 sets for the entire race, and nobody's used them, all the other teams. So that is deemed to be, or fully expected to be,
the race. Or listen to their team radio. You can do Sky Stream, or now use the interact.
And also a time the front runners all start on the medium, extra grip off the line, and the warm-up
through his career. He has started on pole.
Too much, does it? And that's a rare.
And Ferrari, despite and the Red Bull, and they might be on a
grid box, because when you look out to the side, see where.
And make sure that he pulls in for his pit lane start. There'll be 9,000 people. Highest ever. It's lights out and away we go. And on the turn 1, but Piastri holds Russell. Charles Leclerc is getting keen on the red from Lando Norris, who's managed to get this. Getting squeezed a little bit is Behrman, and Russell is not giving up
space. Russell wants that place back down so that his entry into the first.
Charles has a broken front wing.
Noda swapping places with his had a little bit of a moment. That's why you saw the nothing doing there, and that's Fernando Alonso.
As if Charles Leclerc hit Lewis Hamilton.
For Charles Leclerc, well, Gasly right behind Fernando Alonso. Behrman through the first couple of corners.
Just what McLaren needed. They can compare. And what are we going to see here?
And just squeezes Leclerc
sideways. He had to do some. Surprised Norris didn't have
just eased away through the detached from the rest of the crowd.
The Ferrari wing, we know there was some break to the stewards that you absolutely the front wing end fence.
We can survive, we stay at
unfortunately for Charles, you know, that means he'll hurt his front tyre. That's why Norris is just, they've got to look after their front tyres.
Has made up a place on Alex. Liam Lawson has made up a couple of places. You manage your tyres.
Rear brake he's talking about there, but
down too much if your brakes are on.
Smoke coming from there, so lift the throttle. He's obviously running out of brake.
From a race here in the chief mechanic down.
Yeah, no brake, no brakes, no brakes.
To a retirement here. Let's have a season when he collided with Oscar.
Then on George Russell Aaron's. And then that's right, Piastri had to come and squeeze him hard.
Braking that little bit later, and then
it was quite a leap off the curb, wasn't it? But pulling through the gears at roughly the same pace. The FIA will be looking at that, and for that wing will fall off and had to get out of the throttle, which cost incidents. It was a bit adventure to the using the
rest of Ollie Behrman. I said that Fernando Alonso is.
The brake cooling.
His 201st Grand Prix start of this Grand Prix. Race
general strategy picture at the moment. 1 or 2 horsemen there, likely longer than that. Somewhere around lap, because Bortoletto right at the back and a lap faster than Hulkenberg.
Got another yellow flag out there as the Norris's front left tyre, the into 3 hurts the tyre. It's a clockwise circuit in 56 laps, and
out in front in terms of the gap, Norris a little bit in DRS range. George Russell, that gap to 1.6 and staying in contention in 4th. For that front wing end plate, that's
well, I want to.
Okay,
Hadja wants that in his battle.
If you're not careful, and it can make you.
So back-to-back retirements to start Japan in a fortnight's.
He's left got a 3-second getting those tyres.
The one-stopper might missing tyres and going for that one-stopper.
22. I don't imagine getting...
Absolutely not. Lando Norris already saying in the sprints, given the...
Starting to struggle a little.
Lando Norris, and we are only on lap 8.
But so is Lewis Hamilton. Any worse than Lewis Hamilton's in the pit lane.
So maybe swapping the cars around, letting them with that front wing change.
Yeah, but you want me to, but I'm managing. They have a virtually...
now, but we are on the quick.
Yeah, I'm good.
Confident.
First thing that Alex Albon needs to do, start for Kimi Antonelli. That was crucial. Antonelli P7 and just shing.
Yeah, babysitting. Widening a little bit out in front, who has the car in front and a DI by about 75 metres. Now he's falling back a bit.
They are definitely a little bit kind. Or are we a plan
Well,
A?
I think plan A might and just do the one.
They mix it up.
Was it the filing of Leclerc, who will be in touch with the I think doesn't really want
Front wing. Do they think that can pit stop? You can see the aerodynamic car is not putting load into the tyre.
as well. And the Mercedes driver, and it all looks comes into the pits and will be the first driver.
Plan B, plan B.
So that well, maybe I was right. To stop.
Because he's going to lose time. But
Pit stops are doing in around 2.5, probably allowing 7 seconds for that.
lead Charles Leclerc back into. Other
So just want to come in a little bit on your straight or stop lap. So he's saying, I want.
And C target lap.
with a plan C.
Well, yeah, the C they have on plan C, and that.
Norris has just been told that the degradation of
55 degrees track temperature now, and the seconds a lap slower than pole position.
Yes, it is.
And also, I wonder, and the tyre comes back to you on the front. You probably are.
I think they probably are. Who was behind Esteban Ocon later on in the race, but if you get it, come out of the pits and then get out tyres, he's absolutely flying. And Charles Leclerc.
It's a place to Gasly not on Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda was volley and Isaac Hadjar.
Use the extra grip of those fresh tyres. They are when they pit and faster, the pair of us. So over make that work. So Lewis Hamilton.
Max Verstappen will be coming in too. Lewis Hamilton, as you can see,
Touch and go, wasn't it? But it was all right. Bagging and just babysitting.
straight. I think they had to come in. Hamilton might have found himself behind Yuki.
Following a lot of cars in
Keep it sending.
through it. It cleans the surface. You can just get through that.
Verstappen clears Hulkenberg the pit, and at the same time, race comes Oscar Piastri. Hard tyres.
A bit deep, didn't he? A little bit deeper. Extent under pressure.
Lance
isn't
Stroll on the hard compound tyre behind the Aston Martin.
it? Yeah. Voice on service. So
There because Behrman hasn't just to get past. So Max gone down the back straight. Kimi Antonelli now on the left. Esteban Ocon.
that was brave.
Notice when we were riding on board
And you also know that it's not been
for a pit stop, and Lando Norris just makes street, goes through, and it's going to be Nibby goes through. Then comes Lance Stroll. Aston Martin really was. Mercedes have got the undercut of Lance Stroll and the Aston Martin and George Russell.
out an extra lap. Now that's the problem when you've got a 1-2 out front pit stop. So that has
Got a new front wing on his. Hasn't pitted yet. He gets past him rapidly. Ted, down to you. Changed his front wing. No, he hasn't.
Check the loss of 20 to that. I'm amazed to hear, and he might as well not design them in the first place.
anyway. The cars at the end of the race, they are allowed with identical parts. So
He's trying to get the jack underneath the lane, and George Russell appearing on.
go on the car. He's trundled down the pit lane.
And that's Hamilton is not having it all.
As this settles down, Ferrari might put more pace or not. If not, Lewis will be saying, look, hang on, I'm thinking along.
Yeah, Lance Stroll hasn't stopped yet. He's Liam Lawson, who ran the hard side. Alba. We might still get this Grand Prix, and we get overtakes of Alex Albon, Lewis Hamilton, very close to Lance Stroll. If he had a front wing MP and doing a decent job out of the hairpin. Yeah, into turn one he goes. Charles Leclerc.
Look at Albon and seeing what we think his strategy. I think he's going for a one stop. They've been talking past him, and that will hurt. Running a longer stint, it's coming through.
And they will swap at the hairpin. And fairness from Lewis Hamilton.
Just about 7/10 to his teammate Oscar Piastri. Kicking into the hairpin. Norris.
George Russell hanging on though, isn't he?
Lewis Hamilton's ahead of Charles Leclerc down the main straight than he was on the pre-muted so far. 3.5 seconds.
I was walking cars.
Into Lewis, though. That can't really, probably, because he won't be able to
He's
get.
going to have to slow down a bit to make that round of pit stops, even down the pit lane. It's not worked out. He's 10th and another 10th, the top three once again.
The guys ahead. You can let
I think it's in a minute. Hamilton's going to get.
So a fine first stint.
Yeah,
We want to swap these now.
seemed like a decent place to swap it, but find himself behind the Alpine of Pierre.
I'm in charge around here. First saying, but the way Leclerc, maybe they should chop that bit of wing off.
You mentioned this a couple of laps ago.
It was very lucky that on the first lap.
So he's got the right paint job. And Sonoda, Ocon, Antonelli.
From down here, first of all, going long has cost Tyler life to try and attack. Then Lawson could get his hard the Red Bull garage. Max
Claire before pretty electric to carry on. Happen on a pace.
They'll be kicking the other side of that front wing off.
Lance Stroll stops yet. So I mentioned that it was an international as Lance Stroll tries to break the stays ahead of the Haas for the team.
On those tyres now. Has his hard tyres and going along nicely.
Liam Lawson in the one-stop race. The maximum down construction 2 last year.
Now 6.7.
Now he cleared Pierre Gasly and moved his Piastri and Lando Norris. Rate of knots as they make their airmen are going to be meant to defend, and does so. Takes the Aston Martin and Haas at a track where he's got his best results of the
Weekend, didn't they? Lots of damage.
Some feedback, guys. Come on, I need feedback.
And the race seems good.
So important to ace that.
Those traces, you think, yeah, well, I'll catch if you're slow off a corner lead, but you do lose for a long while.
Tyres goes too deep. Try, but he'll have to try again.
Because it hurts you in the braking zone, not just now, unfortunately.
Yuki Tsunoda and Esteban Ocon. Cheers, Charles. Cut for Ollie Behrman. Looks brilliantly.
And you're right.
Jack Doohan didn't have too much grip there either. I mean, the best of it at all is Carlos.
In the range, and he'll get another dose.
Absolutely is. What's the traction like for that? You can see him disappearing into turn 1 as we know. Tried to call him a little bit earlier. He's got a point.
He's been yesterday in the race today.
Piastri and Lando Norris within DRS range in 4th, and Luke Carr's around. Bernie Collins, let's head.
Probably got another 10 laps. Didn't look that strong towards the end. So we've been discussing Russell Leclerc coming.
They think Lance Stroll is veering.
Leclerc pushing on behind, and he's on the hard time.
And just very quickly, how is it Charles Leclerc's got that?
Maybe it's something to do with hard downforce on what we presume is that side.
Race control haven't said anything about getting what they've taken at Haas. They put a set of medians on
Into the Grand Prix with Sainz.
which we don't want to see. Gabriel Bortolevo comes in for his pit stop track. Oh, sorry, roundabouts. So a long way back. He hasn't pondered with the fastest lap of the race. Well, Leclerc holding on.
What to be thinking of here as they need food and buy him a little bit of time. Well, when we expect another so far.
He's finished. Right, let's head down to the Haas pit wall. Your race so far. Esteban's
managing tyres well.
a bit longer on the hard tyre or not? Frustrated, I think, behind.
Don't need a target. We think we can.
Cheers, thank you. That under with a couple of really fast laps.
Yeah, so another fastest lap for Lando.
See, I think the FIA, not on the amount of points you get, so that's.
It was.
We can see the view from his rear wing and trying to overtake. That's Oscar Piastri.
You both well clear.
We stop, don't we, Martin? Because it's coming up in about months. Just a quick one on Kimi Antonelli by people, and then caught in a Ocon ran ahead of him and stuck really behind the Ocon Tsunoda.
So running 19th and current.
That's why they would dearly love to get a 4-second gap. Is if he keeps pushing the way he is.
So what they're nervous of is that that's costing some meters. Basically, yeah, locked his rear wheels, say, like when you don't.
So there's the two McLarens, as I mentioned, and they're more than halfway for the Mercedes team. Lewis Hamilton, a little bit detached from his move on Liam Lawson as the old swapperoo. The hairpin, or coming out of the hairpin.
It's a little bit disconcerting here because somebody carefully if you're behind them.
This race, such has been the long.
Yeah, he has, but he's been telegraphing that big time, but he's still doing the same pace as Hamilton.
This move for Ollie Behrman on.
Yeah, he knew. It's all good stuff. Lawson moved to the corner and wouldn't have enough steer.
Pad in front, 2.5 seconds. Big gap back to George Russell.
And then Norris, 2 laps later, reacts and control.
If you remember back to Hungary, Ollie Behrman, Jack Doohan, fellow Jack Doohan has been running those hard tyres for a lot. He just has to back off a little bit for the time. But
I mean,
he generally responded.
Qualifying, they want to be at least 7 in front of sort of punching a big hole in the air.
As well, under braking, who's going to brake last? for the Bearman, and some of his teammates in the garage.
It was indeed. So he's got a 13, that kind of range.
He's trying just a few laps ago, the car ahead of place.
Nicely done.
The issue in a car that he's still...
He should be better, shouldn't he, in his chance to reset.
It's robust. George behind us.
2 to 24 seconds of might be what Ferrari are hoping, and it's a track where patience can...
To what the others do and control Verstappen.
Right, Isaac probably involve Alex Albon too, and Esteban behind Jack doing and well in front of a plan C.
As Bernie
Have a go.
have a race going on, and then the fuel around that you don't use. And if the pace is hot, and there's...
Well, I was going to ask, this track, that can have quite an effect on their fuel
because
cap.
they have to have a litre in the tank. Right.
As racing points, just about the
Class 3 laps up to Class 1.
all day. That slight risk of earlier in the day, and a few degrees, just about 10 minutes Celsius.
Next up the road bus.
Just not igniting. Worth pointing out, we're on lap 36 times as a result. Defend it in the way that Ollie Bearman has sideline going into the final corner. Again, he's got that on Rinson. Yeah, enjoying himself a lot. Out onto the track just ahead.
Aren't they? So there's in the remaining 20 laps.
There's enough laps in hand.
Beside this hard compound, lovely dull sheen on it.
The last lap, which as I said was the fastest lap, 7. You know, and
Back at Lewis Hamilton as well for 5th.
20 laps remaining, come on.
just watch for a charging Lance Stroll.
To the end. It's too much risk.
Really very easy. So,
Wasn't it? From Verstappen last year, isn't it? Sort of
different races for the price of one. Bar, Austin, Brazil and Qatar. Hamilton, or he's not.
The one stop, then Lewis will be strong at the quicker than that. Lance Stroll was also. The others, I guess, Crofty will just
Out ahead of Esteban Ocon, and that could be cool.
safety car now.
Yeah.
A full safety car.
So as he comes out, Lewis Stappen in 5th, but will start tyres as compared to this. At 11 laps of joy hot on the heels of Pierre Gasly.
That is a little bit worse than now still. Okay, let's just...
And Lando's done it. Now that was a smart move by Ferrari, really. Verstappen catching Leclerc a little bit. Ferrari.
Bearman thought he had 10 straight because Gasly defended that very nicely into that first corner and holds. Ollie Bearman is looking very racy, picking up in the
I think we're good.
to these drivers today.
The mechanical rips the polymers, rips the track temperatures dropping now. They will come back to you. Rubber really, but let's call it rubber for now.
On exits, from back out once more. And this time round the outside into turn 1 with teenagers in this race. He's up to have lost the place.
Get left and then in the points.
Australia.
So again, Bearman smart as well. Medium comp time he gets there. Sweet.
First 2 Grand Prix starts to be. Hamilton has just set a new fastest lap time for him to get that down.
It is a 36.0 low speed and 18 seconds off kind of lap times in. At least.
really, and it really depends on what numbers and at what point laps. At what point are they at both of those things? Well, if get past them all, but otherwise, if they don't,
He is, but yeah, as he needs to do. But you're right. If they start to fall off, losing 6/10 to Piastri,
the maximum stint from last.
This is top pace now, Max.
89. Has Verstappen just been in terms of lap times to fend him?
if that's the difference. Now he's down to 4.
That did stop for a second, only stopped the once, and this is where we'll start hitting now on Carlos Sainz from the start.
At the moment as well. Bearman,
The leader, Oscar Piastri, and his Yuki Tsunoda will get freighted on their tail in a couple of laps at the end of the race. As here goes Lance Stroll in better grip, and the Aston Martin up in the 12th.
5/10 down on these lengthy run.
Oscar.
Yeah. Norris has lost, but
Lewis Hamilton about 17.